I really grade this one like a C plus B minus for myself. But, you know, I knew that I was sharp from the sparring, and I showed him some movement. I saw some fundamental mistakes. I was like, okay, I can treat this boy like some of my sparring partners, and I can just school him a little bit.
Hey Ringsiders, what is going on? This is your host, Boxing's Objective Observer, and welcome back to Ringside Stories. Or if you're new, we make content regarding boxing through mini documentaries, backstories, takeaways, and much more. So if you enjoy that type of content, feel free to subscribe, thumbs up, and hit that notification bell for the latest here on Ringside Stories. Thanks so much for your support in advance, and welcome to the channel. Keith Thurman has made his first appearance inside the squared circle after close to 3 years, beating Mario Barrios by a wide unanimous points decision. And it was good to see the former unified welterweight champion back in action since his loss against Manny Pacquiao in July of 2019. The question still is, how much does one time have to offer in this current welterweight division, which is about to shape onto a new era with some promising, hungry, talented fighters knocking at the door? A lot to discuss, so let's break it down with 5 takeaways from Keith Thurman versus Mario Barrios. Let's get into it. Number 1, good performance, not great performance. Sure, Mario Barrios showed his inner Aztec warrior spirit, and sure, Mario Barrios got pieced up in the process. Got hurt, yes, yet was not dropped even once, much less stopped, something Gervonta Tank Davis did pull off just one fight ago at a more natural weight for Mario Barrios in and around the 140-pound division when he was still undefeated and where he held a title, albeit a minor title. Now take into consideration this was Mario Barrios' first real step up in terms of fighting a name at 147 pounds, and still Keith Thurman was unable to finish the job. Now of course, with a near 3-year layoff, there might be some ring rust, as Keith himself alluded to.
It felt good. You know, I still felt a little ring rust in there, but it was amazing. He was a great opponent. He had more poise. He learned from his last outing. I learned from my last outing. I'm just happy to be back in the ring.
Now, his movement and his boxing skill were all right for most of the fight. However, if you consider Keith Thurman's career being an elite welterweight in his prime, whatever value that holds today, he didn't show elite skill nor power against a man who's used to fighting at a lower weight class. And if you consider one time's aspirations to be among one of the best of this current era of welterweights, more on that later, from a critical point of view, Thurman versus Barrios proved to be a good but not great, and certainly not an elite level performance from Keith one-time Thurman. Number 2, Jelly Belly. Throughout his entire career, Keith Thurman has always had issues taking shots to the body.
It's a great intellect. Thinks you make a new move. Bring 2 belts.
Alonso with his best work.
Looked like it hurt him in the body a little bit.
Went to the body and had success here at the end of round 5, and now he's trying to chase down the unbeaten Keith Thurman.
Looked like he hurt him a little bit to the body, and that's the right place to go. Downstairs, and he did.
Look at Alonso on the attack against Keith Thurman. Thurman's looking to wrap up.
And that issue arose again against Mario Barrios 30 seconds before the end of round 8 when Keith Thurman spat out his gum shield to catch his breath. Ironically, prior to that moment, Thurman hurt Barrios, and as stated previously, one time didn't live up to his name as Thurman was unable to pile on the pressure. Now this was against Mario Barrios, who, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, was not formidable enough to capitalize on this capitulation from Keith Thurman and wasn't able to visibly trouble Thurman after. Had this been a top welterweight like an Errol Spence Jr. or Virgil Ortiz, Keith Thurman might have found himself in a whole heap of trouble, which begs the question, how good is Keith Thurman still? And how much fight does one time still have left in him? Number 3, vulnerable welterweight. Based on Thurman versus Barrios, Keith Thurman will face trouble against every top welterweight. Now, we do not know what is left of Errol Spence Jr., so both Thurman and Spence's inactivity, their wear and tear may cancel each other out. Yordenis Ugas's reach and boxing skill will give Thurman fits. Terence Crawford would probably stop Thurman. Same goes for contenders Jaron Ennis, who is too fresh, too explosive, and too hungry for Keith. Virgil Ortiz Jr., who is inside fighting this constant pressure and body work, may well retire Keith Thurman altogether, again based on this fight with Mario Barrios.
You know what, I would like to fight someone like Danny Garcia or Thurman. I believe that those are very good fighters that honestly that I can beat. So let's make the fights happen.
I love doing this. Like I'm not in this for the money. I'm in this because it's all I know.
Right.
And I'm in here having fun and doing my thing. So when they know you fighting a guy like that, they're shy away from that. So,
right.
I mean, at the end of the day, it is what it is. And they can't keep hiding for too long, and I will be world champion.
By the way, Ortiz and Ennis remind me of a time when a young Keith Thurman was making noise and posing a threat to the then top welterweights.
You know, I'm a young, strong champion, Floyd. Come get it. I'm undefeated like you, baby. Come take my O, baby. Come take my O. I'm ready.
He fought Andre Berto. Then he wants to call Andre Berto the #1 contender when he was the #1 contender for my title. You know, if anybody was the #1 contender for Floyd Mayweather, it's been me. You know, it's hard. It's hard to keep barking up a tree knowing you ain't gonna get no action.
Even the Butayev and Stanionis fights that carry hardly any financial incentive for Team Thurman are seemingly difficult fights for Thurman at this point in his career. Number 4, making Gervonta Tank Davis look better. Mario Barrios was undefeated at 140 pounds when Gervonta Tank Davis beat him by 11th round TKO, and Barrios fought as low as 122 pounds. This fight against Keith Thurman was his first step up at welterweight, meaning a fight at the 147-pound limit going the full 12 rounds. Still, Keith Thurman could not one-time Barrios, which Gervonta Tank Davis was able to do at what seemed to be Barrios' more natural weight class. In the last 5 years leading up to today's video, Keith Thurman had only 3 fights, and more specifically, Thurman's last stoppage was on July 11th, 2015 against the way-past version of Luis Collazo. Tank Davis, who many boxing fans, myself included, have been critical of in terms of his resume, opposition, and overall career so far, is a smaller man than Keith Thurman, fought Mario Barrios at a more natural weight for Barrios, and when spurred on by his mentor Floyd Mayweather Jr., was able to stop Mario Barrios, who came into the Keith Thurman fight with that loss, moving up in weight, still managed to go the full 12 rounds. Now you can attribute that to Mario Barrios' toughness, Keith Thurman's inactivity and ring rust, or maybe Gervonta Tank Davis is better than some may give him credit for. However, the results of the Thurman versus Barrios fight have made Gervonta Tank Davis look way better. Number 5, what's next for Keith Thurman? And in keeping up with the theme, how about a fight between Gervonta Tank Davis and Keith Thurman? Both Tank and one-time fight under the PBC umbrella, meaning even at a catchweight, the fight could be made fairly easily. They have a common opponent, which Tank and his team can take the credit for having a better result. Thurman versus Tank Davis would be an interesting stylistic matchup, a good name on the resume for both fighters. And given the current landscape with Errol Spence Jr. fighting Yordenis Ugas in a unification match next, and the other contenders representing too much of a high-risk, low-reward situation, and unless Thurman would seriously entertain a crack at the WBO World Welterweight title against Terence Crawford, a Thurman versus Tank Davis fight wouldn't be even an impossibility. Now, when asked about Keith Thurman's next fight to the man himself,
I'm not sure. You know, you see what I'm wearing right now. You see what I'm representing. They've been asking me for a long time, where are you ranked, Keith Thurman? And I say, I don't know. One of the best fighters in the world. Who cares what rank they give me, what number they give me, what position they give me? You know, I do want to fight champions. It's I'm gonna be looking forward to getting in the ring with a champion. I want an opportunity to get a world title again. So if that's the best opportunity, I'll take it. I do like the fight with Terence Crawford, but we'll just have to see what opens up, what really negotiates, how stubborn we get when it comes to what kind of split there is. You know, it's just business from here on out. I do like the fight, though.
Overall, I think Keith Thurman boxed well for his first fight in almost 3 years. However, we don't know, based on the Barrios fight, how good One Time is. Not sure how good he can still become. With that said, Keith Thurman could be a good addition to this welterweight mix. One Time has shown some vulnerabilities, yet brings a wealth of experience, having competed at the highest levels. His movement and punch selection seemed alright, which can make for interesting fights. However, this is Keith Thurman's 3rd fight in over 5 years. So given Keith Thurman's notorious health history, there are still many questions surrounding his longevity longevity and ability from here on out. Let's see what is next for Keith Thurman, and we will discuss potential future one-time opponents in one of the next episodes here on Ringside Stories, so stay tuned. Now over to you, Ringsiders. What did you make of Keith Thurman's return in his fight against Mario Barrios? And who would you like to see one-time fight next? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this type of content and you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe, thumbs up, and hit that notification bell. It helps the channel out a lot, i.e. inspire us to make more quality content for y'all. As always, thank you so much for your support and welcome to Ringside Stories. Now, if you've done that already, you're amazing. We already know that you are the true undisputed world champion. Till next time, Ringsiders, this is your host, Boxing's Objective Observer with Ringside Stories. Thanks for watching and have a legendary day.